of the Greater Denton Arts Council and Jason of the Texas Theater.
Sure.
So yeah, we're going to talk about, quickly give an overview, present, inform everyone of a screening that's happening Wednesday over at the Texas Theater, which is really cool that you get to see an actual film screening at the Texas Theater.
At the campus theater.
At the campus theater. Right. I don't know what I'm saying. Campus theater.
Several
just
theaters involved.
Casually.
So many theaters.
You're not at a film festival. It's just, you can reminisce, you know. But yeah, Good Night Brooklyn, which is a documentary focusing on the closure of a DIY venue in Brooklyn called Death by Audio. So yeah, Texas Theater. If someone who's never heard of Texas Theater, give us a quick little spiel.
Texas Theater, I mean, the shortest one is it's an art house single screen theater located in Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas. So it's a very old theater. It was built in the early 30s by the Howard Hughes, who needs no further explanation. But we got it reopened in 2010 as a functioning theater, and art house is a kind of vague term, but we show lots and lots of different types of films, live events, comedy, any number of other events. We do lots of weddings, things like that, all kinds of things at the theater. It's really a community space, but the heart of what we do is show film. So this particular film, Barack and I, who's a partner at the theater as well, we saw it at South by Southwest last year and immediately responded to it because of the content. It's about venues and DIY and kind of doing something with nothing. It's very much how the theater came to be. It was abandoned for over a decade and, kind of fell in disrepair. People were trying to do something with it, but nothing really worked out. So the theater as it is today is much different than it was a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I like to say it's just an art house theater. It's an art house space. You probably find something at some point you want to see at some point.
And I know that there is a historical...
Oh, I should mention that. Isn't that funny?
A seat in particular.
Yeah, it's funny how much I've been programmed to not even think about. I just don't think about it. But yes, it's famous, and it's probably the non-Dallasite in me. I forget. It's most famous nationally because it was where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested. I always have to remind people no one was shot there.
Right. The chair's not there anymore.
There is a long story about that I won't bore you with, but there is no original chair there. The short answer is we're working on it. But there's no original chair there, and we try to be historically accurate with where things happened because of course we get visited by loads of JFK seekers of various stripe. But yeah, it's most famous for that, and in large part it's why it wasn't torn down because loads of those theaters were there was about 70 of them in our general area in our part of Oak Cliff, and they're almost all gone except for about 4 in the whole area. So it's ironic to me that Lee Harvey Oswald is a reason why it almost got closed, and also the reason why it's not torn down.
Yeah.
So he is, unfortunately and fortunately, our kind of graphic
double-edged sword.
Yeah. He's famous.
He's known. So and so this collaboration happened between the Texas Theater and GDAC. How did that happen?
Really, I think it was after several conversations between Eric Polito and I. I think if I'm the timeline has been pretty spread out because we've talked about doing things in Denton. We've done little things. When we first opened the theater, I did a couple of similar types of screenings at Dan's because I worked at Dan's for years when I lived here. But they were, it's not a real theater, but it worked out fine. But we didn't have the setup for it, and it was just it was more work than probably it was worth. So ever since then, we've been trying to figure out a way to do it in a theater, an actual theater, because it's we're nerds about that stuff. So we just Eric connected me with Mike over at campus. We went over and talked about it, and looked at dates where he didn't really have to use the theater, and that's kind of what sparked it off. So we just looked for something to show, and even though the title "Good Night Brooklyn" seems like a New York movie, the topic seemed relevant to, things that are talked about a lot in the community here. So, and then Tracy and I started talking about it.
Well, Eric's on our board and is such a good supporter and fantastic supporter of the arts here. And we've been wanting to do more programs at the campus, and this was a perfect match. And we love the Texas Theater.
Yeah.
Before I was in Denton, I was an Oak Cliffer, and frequenter of the Texas Theater. It's fantastic space, and the programs are great and very much in line with the stuff that we're trying to do at GDAC now at Denton. So we're delighted to have this partnership.
You guys have done lots of film at your other space.
Yes, we do it
over the
both
last
places.
several years.
So yes, it's exciting because we have new equipment in the gallery, so we can actually do in-gallery screenings at the Arts Center. But the campus, it originally was a movie theater, and it's been managed beautifully by the Denton Community Theater, Mike, for many, many years. And but there's this wonderful opportunity to sort of bring back the history. They've always done Thin Line there, and Denton Black Film Festival, which all of those things are coming up. But for GDAC to actually take an active programming role in bringing film back to campus as well, so we're very excited.
I would say that the fun thing is it is a true collaboration, because Thin Line, for instance, is helping us out because, just like I mentioned for Dan's, it's not that easy. We can get gear and put it all together. It's much more complicated than throwing up a screen most of the time. So he was essential in helping us out with that aspect of it, and we've been friendly with Josh, for a long time. So that it kind of is one of those things that it organically just falls together comfortably. In lots of ways.
Cohesion.
Yeah.
I love, we'll get like older couples who come in here and they're like, I took so-and-so to go see the original Star Wars at Campus Theater. And it's like,
awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's so
I mean,
cool.
there used to be several theaters on just this one square. I mean, the Drum Shop used to be a theater. The Andy's used to be a theater. Like, if you do the digging, which is easy to if you're film nerds.
We sell books here, if you're interested.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's really nerdy stuff, and it's fun. And what's most fun to look at it in what they used to show, like the Star Wars thing you just mentioned or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, all these different theaters are right here competing. So they really got to vie for someone's attention because there's several places, to look. So
there's also a cool history of, if you go even further back, like when it first opened, that when the big shows opened, they would have parades and programs. So there's, this amazing archival photography of every time there was an event, a major film coming out. It was an actual event downtown, and
That's
if you had a Western, you had people on horses. If you had a Barnum and Bailey theme, there were clowns in the lobby. It's
amazing.
Amazing.
Ironically, that's kind of how we stay open at the theater.
It's true.
Honestly, we had to figure out a way to jump through hoops, and so we make a lot of them events. It's not, when people ask us about that, we just stole old ideas. I mean, they've been doing it since the minute movies became a thing. You had to make it some kind of event. So, I mean, really, this one is about getting people's attention to see that it's possible to do a film there, and then maybe we can try to get some more momentum to do. They're not going to be every day, but do them whenever we can, or get other people interested to try to put together a program, and maybe they can do something,
Right.
So it's a good excuse to make it somewhat of an event. When we showed it at the theater, we showed it at our film fest this past season in June, and we had the band come down that's in the film, because
awesome.
Death by Audio, a little bit about Death by Audio. It's a kind of a really janky space in in Brooklyn, that they took this horrible warehouse space and made it into a really well-known small venue. And the band that lives there becomes more and more popular, and now they're called the Place to Bury Strangers, and they came down and played after the show. So
very cool.
Normally for movies we don't have 400 or 500 people show up. If you bring the bands, it kind of helps out. But doing that collaboration for anyone that wants to book future events, I'm just giving you that tidbit. Book a band with it and have them play after the film. That's the way to do it.
Awesome. So for someone who's going, Goodnight Brooklyn, why should I go see a film? It sounds like it's about Brooklyn.
Right.
So
it is very much about Brooklyn specifically.
Right.
But in a much larger inspirational sense, it's more about artists really taking kind of things that are discarded and making something with it that becomes really culturally, important. So, and then honestly, it's an old hat story, but you kind of become a victim of your success. So you make an area of town that wasn't popular. Suddenly developers move in. They're interested in your neighborhood.
And then they buy
They have a lot more money than you have in many cases. And how you navigate that, it's not, I like to, whenever this topic comes up, and it comes up a lot in Oak Cliff as well, I don't like to make it like a us versus them thing.
Right.
'Cause that's really not how it works. It's really how you deal with it. Like if you're going to make something popular, you're going to attract attention. That's what you want. How you navigate that wave as it crashes on the beach is really the hard part for artists, because we're not really thinking of it in business terms or the demographics that business people are so adept at. So in this case, I don't want to give away much toward the end of the film, but it is highly ironic how they get closed down and who closes them down. It's totally bizarre that, I mean, I didn't know how it ended until we saw it in South by Southwest, because I just had missed how they closed down. I knew they closed down. But it's something that I think people that have lived in this community and certainly other communities will certainly relate to if they're at all interested in those types of culturally, those shifting grounds for culture.
And I feel that there's a very relevant parallel in that we have, our old dirty basement.
Right.
That we had musicians playing. Like, it was horrifying, but it was also very amazing to listen to live music there and then hear the floorboards creak. But there's a beauty in all of that.
I love it. I mean, I'm super biased. I worked at Rubber Gloves was the first place I was hired when I moved here. I just got really lucky that my neighbors were exactly who I needed to know. So I met everyone really quickly when I moved to Denton. And I like beat up clubs. I just do. I don't think a shiny club feels lived in. It's just not for me. I mean, there's certain venues that feel right for a certain show, and that's fine. But, there's plenty of those, if that's what your thing is. Having just a kind of square box that's essentially a warehouse become a whole different thing is, unless you go to those things, you don't think it's important until you see something you feel is important there, and suddenly the space is transformed for you. So it's, Rubber Gloves specifically, and Dan Mojica even more specifically, were a huge influence on me when I did the theater. And they both know that. I've told them both directly that what I learned from being in Denton and booking shows at Rubber Gloves, or being involved in shows at Rubber Gloves, or working for Dan as, just as an employee, and how they structured it. Maybe some listeners will remember a place called the Argo that existed before all that. Rob Peters was a friend of mine. I definitely called them all when I first started doing stuff and said, why did the Argo become what the Argo became? Right. And in every single answer, it was that it wasn't one person's vision. It was a whole bunch of people's vision. Yeah. And they kind of shared the calendar, and then suddenly, even at the theater, our place in Oak Cliff, people always wonder why the programming is so good. It's not just me. Right. It's not just Barack. It's not just Brian. It's several people, and many times people sending things in and saying, hey, what if you showed this? That is what churns it forward. So it doesn't become, well, this warehouse is so dirty and gross, or, someone spilled a beer and let's all leave. It's terrifying. It becomes a different thing, and you become endeared to that lived in place. When a place like Rubber Gloves closes, it shifts the community in some form, and it's going to create discourse about why it closed and how to fill that gap and whatever it created and things like that. But hopefully, at the very minimum, it makes people appreciate those types of spaces more. It doesn't have to be a club. It can be a theater. Fine arts has been talked about for decades. I think that's why essentially the film, even though it sounds very hyperbolic, it really does touch those nerves in for me, it was very emotional to watch. Right. So that was a long description.
But it's true. So if DIY venues spark your heart, this is a definitely go-to film.
Yes.
And
sure.
if you're interested in pursuing this Wednesday evening, 7:30 at the Campus Theater, tickets
$10 there, and we'll also have Audacity Beer has been nice enough to give us some beer, and Bousquet, Domaine Bousquet wine, which I'm hoping I said that correct. But they were nice enough to help us out. Since there's not like a proper normal bar, it's free instead of paying for it. So
wait, can you repeat that part again?
Yeah, it's free booze.
Alcohol.
Free alcoholic beverages. So there you go.
One of my friends from my old museum life would say, if you people will attend the opening of a drawer if you have free beer and wine. But we actually have good programming, so you should come.
There's programming and drawers.
Yes,
at
absolutely.
This particular venue.
It's a 2 and 2.
We can figure out how to
win,
do
win, win.
Right.
But for this particular screening, just FYI, the TexasTheater.com, theater spelled with the RE, the old way, has the information on it. And then, does yours as well?
Yes, we do. DentonArts.com.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two. And GoodnightBrooklyn.com as well,
Right.
if they want to check out the film previous to that. But hopefully people come out and say
Right.
hi.
And if you forget any of that, it's also posted on our calendar. If
Great.
you visit discoverdenton.com, there's links to the Greater Denton Arts Council, to Texas Theater. So
Awesome.
it's all in one hub. And speaking of the whole community thing, because I feel like it's a community, really,
Sure.
it takes a community to build something to flourish.
Right.
Audacity, funny enough, they're a brew house, local brewery, and they started the same way. It was a bunch of brewers that helped them become who they are now.
Totally.
So, boom.
It's
Super
really
like
hard
metaphor.
to do it other ways, to me.
You can't. Not in the nonprofit, not in the for-profit world. If you're not
Right.
collaborative and you're not thinking community-wise, good luck. But it probably won't last as long.
Yeah.
And it's not going to have the investment in the community. So that's why we're so excited to be partnering with you
Yeah.
guys, is that the great ideas come from collaboration and open yourself up to different, you may not expect this type of program from different types of organizations, but when the good stuff happens, it's
Right.
because you have people who are willing to reach out to each other. So we're
Right.
thrilled.
It works. I mean, even if you hate the movie, it's worth coming over and seeing it. I don't think you will hate the movie, but just seeing a movie over there probably doesn't happen, except for Thin Line and some other festivals,
Right.
Black Film Festival, that I think is the same week, isn't
It's
it?
this weekend,
Yes, this
actually.
weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, so plenty of things to see later this week at the same theater. So
Absolutely.
Warm you up for the film festival.
yeah, we'll warm you up
Exactly.
with a little,
Oh, well, actually, there's an opening. The Denton Black Film Festival
same
is
day.
at UNT on the square at 6 o'clock.
perfect.
You can go hop over to the square.
And there will also be free
And there's
complimentary
also-
drinks
and I think
there.
they have noshes, too.
we should just go around, what's happening over the
Yeah.
next week in Denton,
Yeah.
and just go around and, okay, no, but this thing, and there's free booze at that one.
And then you can just hop over to the other free booze
And just
event.
walk right across down
Yeah.
here and go see the movie. So
Free booze tour.
great night out.
Yeah. So for any more information, you can always visit the Texas Theater, TRE.
Yeah.
TheATRE.com. GoodnightBrooklyn.com, or also GDAC, which is DentonArts.com, or you can just visit our website, discoverdenton.com, and get the whole shebang, the whole umbrella of links. But yeah, you can purchase your tickets, complimentary beer, complimentary wine.
Yeah,
It'll be a great night.
it'll be great.
Sweet. Thank you all for being
Of
here
course.
today.
Thank you so much.
And we'll expect to be seeing a wonderful screening. That's Wednesday evening, the 25th at 7:30.